3. The phone call. The next day, Lily tried to go about her routine, but she couldn't shake the image of Mr. Giggles from her mind. His painted face haunted her thoughts, and every reflective surface seemed to hold a lurking threat. That evening, her phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number, but she answered it anyway, expecting it to be a telemarketer. Instead, there was silence on the other end, followed by a faint, distorted chuckle. Lily's heart skipped a beat. "Who is this?" she demanded, her voice trembling. The chuckling grew louder, more pronounced, until it was unmistakable. Mr. Giggles's laugh. She hung up the phone, her hands shaking. She tried to convince herself it was just a prank, but deep down, she knew it wasn't. That night, she unplugged every mirror in her apartment, covering them with towels or turning them to face the wall. But even without the mirrors, she felt watched, as if a pair of eyes were always on her, just out of sight. 4. The clown in the mirror. Over the next few days, the phone calls continued, always the same. Silence, followed by Mr. Giggles's eerie laugh. Lily stopped answering her phone altogether, but the unease grew. She felt like she was being stalked, hunted by something that shouldn't exist. One evening, she was watching TV trying to distract herself when she heard a faint tapping sound. She muted the TV and listened. The tapping was rhythmic, coming from the hallway mirror she had turned to face the wall. With a deep sense of dread, she approached the mirror and slowly turned it around. Her reflection stared back at her, but it wasn't alone. Behind her, just out of focus, was the faint outline of Mr. Giggles. He was standing in the hallway, his painted smile visible even in the dark. His hand was pressed against the glass, tapping softly, patiently. Lily whirled around, but the hallway was empty. She looked back at the mirror, and now Mr. Giggles was closer, his face nearly touching the glass, his smile so wide it seemed to split his face in two. He raised a finger to his lips in a shushing motion, his eyes locked onto hers. Then, slowly, he reached out and placed his hand on the other side of the mirror, as if trying to push through. Lily screamed and threw the mirror to the floor, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. But as the shards scattered across the floor, she realized her mistake. Each tiny fragment reflected Mr. Giggles's face, dozens of grinning clowns now staring up at her from the floor.